All right. Chris Carr, thanks for being here. First time for me meeting you, I think. I don't think we've met, right?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
All right. A lot of mutual friends
Yeah.
and family on your part. City councilman. You're young for a city councilman. Um, you're Eaton City Council. How long have you been doing that?
I'm about halfway through my first term, so 2 years is where I'm at right now.
Okay, so it's a 4 year?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Was that like a first time, like, oh, I'm just interested in civic stuff, or like, had you always been interested in that kind of thing?
I've always been very politically motivated. Like I like to discuss hot topic issues with people. Sometimes online, sometimes
Right, yeah.
sometimes that devolves into madness. But
Yeah, tell me about it. Me too.
But I always enjoy the debate and the discussion on hard hitting issues. And obviously you don't get as much of that in local government.
Yeah.
But I got very interested and wanted to get more involved, and here we are.
Okay, so you pay attention to national politics, state politics.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the everyday issues that you're running into at the Eaton level, was there like a learning curve for you to just, kind of get up to speed, or did you feel like you were pretty much there when you started?
It felt very natural stepping into it. I would say for any newcomer that was to be aspiring to be a council person, one of the things, if you've never been a part of any organization that utilizes parliamentary procedure,
Yeah.
that's the learning curve. You learn parliamentary procedure. I was in FFA in high school.
Okay.
And we had a parliamentary procedure team, and we actually did like contests and things like that.
Okay, so you knew what was going on.
So I was like, yeah, I'm already familiar with that. And I was also a treasurer for the local VFW as well. So it was another organization that did that. But as far as the nitty gritty of council, it's 90% of the time is very mundane stuff. I mean, you're talking about which streets are we going to pave this year, which utilities need help and where, and we want to make life good for our citizens, and it's a lot of common sense stuff.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Are you a longtime Preble County resident? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I actually grew up in West Alexandria. Went to Twin Valley South for school, and went to college at Miami.
Okay.
And then after college, moved back to Eaton and have been there since.
Okay. Gotcha. And obviously I know because mutual friends, family, but you're married, kids. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
One little girl. She's in kindergarten this year.
Awesome. Good deal. And you guys, you're in Eaton probably, right?
Yeah.
Is that necessary to be a councilman?
Yes, you have to live in the
assumed
city
it was,
proper.
but I didn't actually know.
Now, you can be a city employee. You could be working for the city, like public works,
Right.
or even the city manager, whatever it may be. And in those cases, some of the higher positions, it's like preferred that you would live in the city. That way, you know the city
makes
better.
Sense. Yeah.
But it is not required for city employees per se.
Gotcha. This question just popped into my head, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. I'm in real estate. It's what I do. Sold a property right in town. We'll just say on Chicago Street. The buyers, one of their main questions was, were they responsible for sidewalks and sidewalk repair in front of their house?
No, that actually falls under the city. If things are in disrepair, the sidewalks themselves are on the city level. Now that can get kind of interesting when it comes to the area between the curb and the property.
Okay.
I actually had a question come up about a year ago, where storm had knocked a tree over that was in that little strip between the sidewalk and the street.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who that falls under. And
right.
I had to do some digging.
Not a common problem.
And it's a gray area. It's their property. So it's up to the homeowner to handle that, unfortunately. But if it becomes a nuisance to the public in some way, like if the tree fell over into the street, then it's the city. Yeah. So a little bit of both.
Okay. So big hot topic lately, the Kroger coming to the old Kmart facility.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, and I'm one of them, honestly, why is it Kroger Reid partner? What does that even mean?
Yeah, when that announcement came out, it actually did mislead people a little bit. I was seeing people talking about it online, and everybody was like, "Oh, is it going to be partially a hospital and partially Kroger, or is there going to be a clinic or something like that?" And that's not the case.
Okay.
So Reid has owned that property for several years now.
Okay.
They scooped it up. I'm actually not sure offhand what year they scooped that up, but they purchased it and then sat on it for a little while.
Okay.
And they were going to try to decide what they wanted to do with it. And then they started conversations with Kroger pretty early.
Okay.
Because as you may know, it's been a huge topic of conversation in the area for a long time.
Yeah.
People love our Krogers, but man, is it tiny.
Yeah, correct.
It is actually the smallest Kroger in the entire region.
Is it really?
Which is it's a Cincinnati region as far as Kroger corporate is concerned.
I see.
And they have hundreds of stores in that region. And we're
we're
the smallest.
I would believe it walking in there. I mean, we're still lucky to have it, but I would believe it's the smallest.
And so there's kind of a twofold. I'm going to get just a little bit off topic, but it's kind of a twofold thing there. People really wanted that Kroger to be better.
Yeah, sure.
And it got a little bit neglected, being the runt of the litter.
Yeah.
And also the previous property owners of that shopping center weren't taking very good care of that entire area.
I've noticed a huge initiative over there. They're like remodeling the whole thing.
Yeah, so that came under new ownership last year. Regency Properties is the new owner, and that's what they do, is they buy up shopping centers all over the place that are run down.
Are they local or are they from out of town?
Indiana, I believe.
Okay.
And that's what they do, is they just give facelifts to places and
it's like they're doing a good job.
Bring business in. Yeah, hopefully we'll fill some of those empty slots in, and there's some more coming in. But getting back to the topic at hand, so Reid was in conversations with Kroger actually shortly before COVID hit. And then COVID hit and kind of derailed the conversation.
Put the brakes on everything.
People started clutching their purses a little closer because they didn't know how they were going to fare through COVID. So those kind of got halted for a long time. And now coming out the other side of it, they're ready to move forward, and they've made their agreement. But what it is Reid is just leasing the building to Kroger.
Oh, okay.
So that's the partnership.
Okay, I get it. All right.
But it's going to be entirely Kroger. They're talking about, a lot of Krogers have Starbucks in with them, so they're also talking about the potential that there might be a Starbucks attached with that. And also the fuel center will be a part of that.
That was my next question.
Yep.
Is there a fuel center?
Yep, there will be a fuel center.
All right.
And now it's the other question that we get a lot of is it going to be a marketplace Kroger? Because those are the really big ones. Not quite. I wasn't familiar with their tiers, but it's going to be, they call it a super Kroger.
Okay.
So somewhere in between a regular Kroger and marketplace.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Huh. Awesome. Okay, and then the next question, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, what happens to the old one? Is that just an empty spot for a while?
It will clear out, and some of our citizens, actually, one of our citizens made a proactive move to talk to Regency Properties, that property owner there, to go ahead and push the topic of, what we'll go there.
Yeah.
And they posted about it and said, this is what I sent to them. It was a nice detailed letter, and said, you should put an Aldi's in there, is what they said.
Yeah, another grocery store. Hey.
I'm not opposed to that idea.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just going to be, that's just going to hit a wall, and we'll see what actually happens. But Regency actually did respond and said, rest assured, they're on our list.
Oh, okay.
So you can't make a business come to Eaton. That's way down the road, and we'll see who bites. But
if you look at any of the groups, the conversation groups of the community, everybody's, they always have their preferred restaurants or grocery stores or whatever they want to bring.
And then the rumor mill spills.
I know. It's like somebody says they want, TJ Chumps to be there, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, there's a TJ Chumps.
I heard that. Yeah.
Hey, that's what this interview is about.
Yeah.
Some real facts about stuff. Cool.
Some of the other things that actually are coming to Eaton, obviously we've got the Goodwill store going in. They've actually already got their signage up.
Okay.
Right next to the current Kroger location.
Okay, awesome.
Between that and AutoZone, so that's
Nice.
coming in. There's conversations. I don't think everything's finalized yet, but Penn Station also wants to come to town.
Okay.
They're looking at that spot at the end of that shopping center closest to Wendy's.
Okay. Yeah, seems to be a couple open spots there. That shopping center seems to be the hub of everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, they paved that lot and gave it the paint job and facelift, and so now it's like, oh, that'd be a good spot to plot my business.
No doubt, definitely. You've got the big employers. Seems like they're always expanding, improving. Henny Penny, nonstop improvement over there. Any other news you want to let us in on? What's happening around town?
I think they're just about getting near the end of the. You mentioned Henny Penny. They've got that expansion out there that they're working on. From what I understand, a lot of that's their internal, kind of like their HR department. They've got like a health clinic there, and
oh, really? Okay.
They're moving all of that stuff into that new addition. It's going to be mainly offices and those kind of things. I think there's also going to be like a rec facility in there for them, and so a lot of like better quality of life for their employees.
Yeah, it sounds like a good place to work. Yeah. I know a couple people who are there, and they seem to enjoy it. So when you have big players like that in a town, I mean, let's just say them who employs, I don't even know how many people, hundreds of people, if not thousands.
I don't know the number either.
And then you've got like the new Goodwill coming to town. Like obviously both have to interact with city council. What does that interaction look, let's say from the big players like Henny Penny?
Yeah.
Like is there a regular rep that you guys have to deal with that comes and talks to you guys when they're talking about new stuff?
Yeah, actually it's a common misconception. A lot of people really think that council is very heavy-handed in interactions with local businesses and the things that go on.
Okay.
It's more so our city employees. So our city manager is the one that runs around. It's important to note that city council, we're not salaried positions.
Yeah.
We're mostly volunteers.
Yeah.
And we kind of act as a middleman between the public and the government, which would be the actual city employees. So what happens is our city manager, assistant manager, whoever is representing our city is the one that works directly with these businesses.
Okay.
And, they say, hey, we're expanding. We're going to be adding 100 jobs. What can you do for me?
Yeah.
And then our city manager makes a proposal, and then that proposal has to come through city council.
Okay.
So if we're going to offer perks, whether it be like tax incentives or things like that for jobs being created in the area, it does have to come through council, and that becomes the sort of checks and balances. Make sure we're not overextending or not extending enough to reach out and make a partnership with these businesses.
I'm sure there's always a catch-22 there with, I mean, it's a volunteer position. You want to give it your absolute best. You could probably work full-time if you wanted to as a council person. But you always have to like find that middle ground. How do I do this adequately, but also I've got a real job, a full-time job I have to work as well.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the lack of interest in the job. It's a pretty regular occurrence that not just in Eaton, but in surrounding areas as well, that you get city council or village council positions that nobody runs for. They just stay empty.
Oh, really?
And when that happens, the existing council can just appoint somebody. And I feel like if a local government was corrupt, that would be how it would work.
That'd be the way it would go.
Because then you can just
appoint
process. Your friends and
Sure.
And when you have that much power to see what happens in your local community, but you squander it because you may just not know how the process works, it is unfortunate. And it's an example. When I ran for office, I ran for an open seat. I was not opposed.
Okay.
I could have gotten one vote and had the seat.
So it was open for a while, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so when you talk about distrust of government, all it takes is a bad egg to do exactly what I did and get one vote and get the position and then start doing whatever they want to do.
And I'm seeing a common theme.
I'm not that person, but
right. Well, I'm seeing a common theme with your approach is, transparency, full disclosure, trying to keep corruption from happening. So I like that.
And but it is also important to note if there is a good interest in being involved in local government, that it doesn't have to be a full-time job. You can be a city council person And if you were going to do the absolute bare minimum job as a city council person, your commitment would be about an hour a month.
Okay. And that's showing up to meetings?
The monthly council meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that once a month you guys meet?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And, but obviously my goals and reasoning for being in the position were a little deeper than that. I wanted to shed light on how things work, make sure our citizens are informed. Everything is public information, but not a lot of people know how to do, for example, a public records request.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just too much effort to find out what you want to find out. So I do my best to. I use Facebook as an outlet. I have a page for my council position.
Yeah, I've perused it. So you've done a good job.
I post agendas for the meetings and the things that were discussed, and try to keep people informed that way.
I'm not going to force you to toot your own horn here, but have you brought that new blood to the council? I mean, the idea of keeping it in front of the public and making it easier to access?
Yeah, actually, I did a little bit of that before I even took council. So I was attending council meetings regularly for about a year when I was thinking about running for a council position, and just because I wanted to be informed on what the job was and how it worked, and then I realized how easy it is as a citizen to make things happen. Via those council meetings. So there is every meeting we have a section for public comments.
Okay.
And sometimes we get people coming in saying, one of your one-way streets, people are driving the wrong way down it all the time. Can we do something about that? And so obviously there's only so much you can do, but maybe a little bit more patrols or change some signage to make it more obvious that this is a one-way street. That's that's one thing. But one of the things that I pushed forward, because I was trying to inform myself and came across what we just talked about, which is like, I have to do public records requests to find out anything. It should be a little bit easier to access some of the basic information. And so my recommendation, they already post at that time. They already posted their meeting minutes on the city's website, and so you could look at least what they voted on and whether it passed or failed. Yeah. Okay. But the thing that didn't sit right with me was I couldn't see why they voted yes or no. Yeah. I just get the what passed and what didn't. Yeah. So you wanted to dig deeper into that. And so also if there was dissent. So like if 3 of the council members voted for something and 2 voted against. Okay, well why? Why did they vote against? And so I suggested that I noticed that they record the audio for all of their council meetings. And I said, well, can we include that as the minutes, like the audio recording be part of the minutes of the meeting and include those online so you could listen. This was after you were already councilman or before? This was before. Okay. And they loved the idea and passed it unanimously right then and there. Cool. So now you can go on the city's website, and I think it's not all of the meetings, like the most recent 2 or 3 meetings. But they do it now every time? Yeah. Okay. You can go online and listen to the meeting if you weren't able to make it yourself. Yeah. Did that add a lot of work to whoever runs the tech side of things, or do you do that, or who's doing that? Some of the city employees, some of the like secretaries and things, they're the ones that are working on that stuff that goes on in the background. But they're already uploading the minutes. They're the ones that type up the minutes and get it online. The audio already exists. So why not it's already recorded. They don't do any editing of it. They just take the file and put it online. So I can't imagine it's much more. So backing up, you talked about the one-way street thing. In my mind, if I ever were to venture to do something like your role, which I don't have any plans of that, but keeping everybody happy would be such a frustrating thing for me. And like understanding that's an impossibility from the get-go. You cannot make everybody happy. I also do engage in the political debate online every now and then, more so in the past. But hitting those hot topic issues, I think it's really important that we actually spur on the conversations, because a lot of us, we aren't as diametrically opposed as we think. We're kind of led to be that. For sure. Because for political reasons, you know, if you're going to vote red or vote blue, you need your people to fit in a box. Sure, it's easy to motivate voters if you can push them all into one box. Yeah, and so when we have these hot topic issues that we're discussing, whether it be on my Facebook wall or in person, I'm very much encouraging people to stay fiery about the topic.
Yeah.
but don't get fiery towards the person discussing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, a lot of times these conversations get really big, and you'll have hundreds of comments
Yeah.
on a single topic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it's just, I'm always telling people, the minute that they start attacking people's character instead of the topic itself, like, okay, I'm going to be deleting your comments now.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it's like, if I see a thread that has like 250 comments on it, I'm like, all right, I'm going to read the first couple. But it's just, you know, time-wise, I don't have time to go through the entire thing. It's like, I don't know if it's productive anymore. But, okay, future for you. Like, you enjoy what you're doing as a councilman. Do you see yourself continuing to do that for another term, or are there maybe other goals that you have?
The very political answer is too early to tell.
Yeah.
I still have 2 years left in my current term, and I haven't decided where I'm going to go after that, whether it be staying at city council or just being a regular citizen of Eaton. But I do love what I'm doing, and I'd love to see some of the things through that we're working on now. One of the more exciting things that just recently happened, city council, is we purchased up some property. It's just a cornfield today, but it's the area that sits between 7 Mile Park and Waterworks Park there in Eaton.
Okay.
And so there is the hope that can become green space.
Nice.
It is in a floodplain, so you can't do anything extravagant with it. You can't really build majorly on it.
Okay.
Which is why it's a cornfield today.
Sure. Does that run in behind other, like, there's houses on the road frontage,
so
right?
it's basically the backyard of all those houses on Park Avenue there.
Yeah. Runs
And
along
so,
the creek.
and we also, whatever we do, we don't want to upset those people that live there. We're not going to try to